Thank you and welcome to the show today. The topic this morning is Behind the Public Veil, the humanness of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the humanness of Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. Lewis Baldwin. And of course, Dr. Baldwin, let me welcome you to the show today and to tell you how delighted we are and to tell you that we're happy to be able to deal with another of your many, many books. I think that you've been with us over the last 25 or 30 years, Dr. Baldwin.
It's been quite an honor.
And every time you come in, you bring a book with you. You see, you've got so many books.
I'm thankful for that.
And you've made a very, very important contribution to the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Thank you so much.
What you have here, I think, will give us an opportunity to see Martin Luther King from an entirely different perspective than the Dr. Martin Luther King that you've presented to us, because you've talked about his assassination, you've talked about his trials and his tribulations, and Martin Luther King this and Martin Luther King that, and we're just delighted to have you here, Dr. Baldwin.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor.
And let us have you to give us some statements during this first segment in reference to who you are, and then get into talking about Dr. Martin Luther King and why you wrote this book, Behind the Veil.
Okay, I grew up in the Alabama Black Belt in Camden, Alabama, Wilcox County, Alabama, in the late 40s, 50s, during the days of segregation. So I was exposed to segregation. I attended segregated schools, graduated from Camden Academy High School in Alabama. From there, I matriculated at Talladega College in Alabama, graduating with a degree in history, BA degree in history, in 1971. And in the fall of 1971, I became a student at Crozer Theological Seminary in Rochester, New York. It had recently moved there from Chester, Pennsylvania. And I received the MA and the MDiv degree at Crozer Seminary, and the PhD degree from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. And since that time, 1980, I received the PhD degree. I've been writing, studying, doing research on the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And up to this point, I've authored 6 books on King, edited 2, co-edited 2, and co-authored 2, for a total of 12 books. So I've devoted much of my academic life, not only to teaching, but to writing about Dr. King.
Now, the book that you have now, Dr. Baldwin, deals with Dr. Martin Luther King from a different perspective entirely. Why don't you make some statements about that book, and then we'll come back and we'll allow you to elaborate on it after this first segment.
I wrote the book because we, I think, have lost a sense of the ordinary person, the human being that was Martin Luther King Jr. Every year, third Monday in January, we celebrate his birthday. But I think the ordinary person that was King, the human being that was King, has gotten lost in our annual national celebrations. And I wrote the book to sort of reclaim that ordinary, and Dr. King was an ordinary person on many levels. He was a human being. I understand the need to create superheroes. We live in a capitalistic society, and so we've created this larger-than-life figure, this iconic hero, this messianic figure, this superhuman personality. But Dr. King was an ordinary human being. And the book is really about reclaiming the ordinary person, the ordinary human being that was Martin Luther King Jr.
You know, I think that even the idea, Dr. Baldwin, is an inspiration to us all to understand that we don't always start. You didn't always start out as Dr. Lewis Baldwin. There was somebody that was Lewis Baldwin long before you matriculated.